It seems like it's a really good day to be Valve because apparently the number of games that have shipped on Steam has increased by 93% from 2020 to 2024. In 4 years, the number of games that have shown up on Steam has almost doubled. That is a very insane metric. I have never seen a platform grow nearly as fast as Steam has in the past 4 years. Now, there are going to be people who try to attribute this to the fact that Valve has launched the Steam Deck. And as somebody who runs a channel that very heavily focuses on the Steam Deck, I can understand why I would want to do that too. But I don't really think that that's the reason. I think the reason is because, I've bought more games because of the Steam Deck, but I think the reason that the number of games have increased on Steam is not because of the Steam Deck. It's because consoles are just becoming less and less attractive, especially recently with the price hikes constantly happening. PC gaming seems like the place where, yes, there's a larger investment at the beginning when you're first building a computer. But then once you have one, upgrading that computer to the next power level is a little bit cheaper than it is when you have to buy an entire new system. On top of that, you have these walled gardens with Nintendo and Xbox and PlayStation, and these walled gardens they're there specifically to keep you in. Both Microsoft and Sony have realized that they cannot grow the console market any more than they already have. The console growth has been flat for years and years and years. Basically, every time they sell new consoles, they pretty much sell the same amount of consoles every time. And because of that, they've decided we need to change tactics. What tactics are they changing? Well, they started launching more games on PC. Well, if these big companies who have platforms of their own are launching more games on PC, then all of the other companies that are making third-party games for these same systems, they're going to follow suit. They're going to look at what Microsoft and Sony are doing, and they're going to say, you know what, I think we should start shipping more of our games on PC as well. And because of that, the number of games that are just on PC in general is a ridiculously staggering number. If you guys take a look at this graph from SteamDB.info, you can see the ridiculous trajectory that Steam currently has. First off, these are Steam game releases, not total games that are on Steam. And this number just keeps going up. And if you look each day or each month, you can see how many games are launched. So in May of 2021, 911 games were launched on Steam. It shows here Steam game releases by year. So we can see how many games were launched each year. And every single year, with very few exception, that number has increased. So if you look at 2019, it actually went down from 8,877 down to 8,077. So it decreased by 800 games. If you look at 2025, it looks like I'm recording this on September 30th, right? And we are currently sitting at 14,291. If you compare that to 2024, well, in 2024, that's 18,624. I think it's possible that that Steam might hit a higher number this year than they did last year. It's definitely possible, but it's not 100%. Like, it's not a lock yet. But if you look at just the staggering growth, it's absolutely crazy. So I was curious. I decided to just Google how many games are on Steam total. And currently, as of mid-2024, and keep in mind, this is Google's ridiculous AI-generated slop. So take it with a giant grain of salt. Maybe this is wrong. But it says here that the total number of Steam games is estimated to be over 100,000. With a significant number of new releases, 14,000 added in 2024 and 2025. Well, if we look back at scrolling up, I don't need to scroll up. If we look at 2024, 18,624. If we look at just 2025, 14,291. So that tells me that this number, whatever this number is out of date. Okay. If we say show more, let's see what Google's AI thinks that are the reasons that Steam is growing so quickly. They say hundreds of new games and app IDs are added to the platform daily. So every day they're getting hundreds of games. Now, this next part might be wish fulfillment. It says AI generated content. All right. Google says the recent proliferation of AI generated games has contributed to a rapid increase in the available titles. So let's see how many games on Steam currently are quote unquote AI generated. And I found this from GameDeveloper.com. It says that nearly 8,000 games on Steam disclose generative AI use. So that means just the ones that admit it. I'm sure that there are some games that use Gen AI that don't say that they do, even though that's breaking the rules, and that might cost them, their listing. It says in 2024, the number of games that disclosed the use of Gen AI was around 1,000. And if we scroll through this, basically, they're getting this information from the CEO of Totally Human Media, which is hilarious. And basically, they used the Steam API via International Game Discovery Platform to get the results. At the time of the publication, which was July 13th, and this was posted on July 15th of this year, THM reports 7,818 of Steam games have disclosed generative AI uses. Now, what do they mean by generative AI? So that could mean things like, they're using it for art assets. They're using it to come up with scripts for NPCs to use, that kind of thing. I will say this. I don't look at this as a good thing. Maybe I am just being an old man yelling at a cloud, but I prefer my games to be made by humans who have taste, not an algorithm that is just stealing from other people's work. That said, this is probably one of the reasons that we've gotten so much more. If you look at this, it says so far, just in 2024, it was 1,000. And in 2024, that's the wrong thing. In 2024, 18,000 games were put on Steam. So 1,000 of those 18,000 games were on Steam. Let's take that ridiculous number of games released on Steam in 2024, which is 18,000. And let's compare that to PlayStation. Right now, the big winner in the console space. I want you to take a second and think about it. How many games, don't Google it, how many games do you think were released on PS5 last year, 2024? Keep in mind, Steam released 18,000 games. Do you have a number in your head? All right, well, according to Google's AI slop, it says that 145 PS5 titles and 113 PS4 titles were released in the July to September quarter alone. If we extrapolate that out, then we could say, well, all right, so there's about 200 total games that were released in 2024 on PlayStation in one quarter. So that's one quarter, multiply that by 4, roughly 1,000 versus Steam's 18,000. Now, a lot of people might look at that number and say, holy cow, you got to play on Steam. There's so many more games. Yeah, there's a lot more games on Steam, but there's a lot of crappy games on Steam, I'm sure. There's a lot of crappy games in that 114 PS5 and 113 PS4 games too. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you haven't checked out the podcast yet, what are you waiting for? We have fantastic conversations each and every week. You can check it out on screen right now, or check out this video as well. From the Nerd Nest, I'm Bill. Stay rad. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye, everybody.